Hello everyone, today is 3rd of April, now it's 10 to 6 in the evening Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is new episode of Headlines, short summary of the news that I will talk about in more detail during the second news update of the day on my Patreon page. And well, that's been said, let's go through some latest updates, latest news. And the first, RIA Novosti's report with the headline that Russian armed forces advanced in three directions in the zone of special military operation, and these directions are Avdiivka, Donetsk and South Donetsk. Also, Vzglyad newspaper is reporting that Ukrainian armed forces conducted two counteroffensives in Robotyne, and as a result of these failed counteroffensives that were repelled by Russian forces, Kiev regime lost up to 50 military personnel. And Vzglyad newspaper also reporting that MP of Russian Parliament, Viktor Vodolatsky, shared information with the public that Kiev regime forces are basically preparing Kramatorsk and Slavyansk for destruction and are heavily mining these two cities. I remind you, dear friends, that Kramatorsk-Slavyansk line agglomeration is the last more or less capable defense line of Kiev regime on Donetsk sector. One may say that Krasnogorovka is also significant defense line for Kiev regime, but we cannot compare, of course, Kramatorsk-Slavyansk with Krasnogorovka. And after Russian forces will establish full control over the Seversk and surrounding areas, I believe next point of concentration of Russian armed forces in northern flank of Donetsk sector definitely will be Slavyansk, Kramatorsk. Let's continue. And Vzglyad newspaper is also reporting that Ukrainian officers of Ukrainian armed forces in an interview with Politico stated that Ukrainian defense lines will most likely collapse if Russian armed forces will concentrate in one point and conduct a large-scale offensive operation. Not really surprising. Ukrainian armed forces barely managing to hold on to their defense lines right now without Russia conducting any large-scale offensive operations. And even then, on Avdiivka direction, for example, despite her deployment of units from strategic reserves, Kiev regime was unable to stabilize front line, and on daily basis we are receiving more and more information about further advances of Russian forces. But it is interesting to see that high-ranking officers of Ukrainian armed forces acknowledging that they are in extremely difficult situation. RIA Novosti is also reporting that according to Ukrainian side, as a result of Russian missile and drone strikes, Kiev regime lost generation of about 80% of energo facilities, energo generation, which is of course a significant number, especially if we take in account that Ukrainian armed forces that are still loyal to Zelensky and his criminal associates are actively using railway for movement of military equipment and manpower, and same time, of course, they are using electricity to power whatever is left from military-industrial complex of Ukraine, where some military equipment have been repaired and some weapon systems have been produced even nowadays. So interesting information. And I remind you, dear friends, that during the winter time, Russian side was refusing to avoiding basically to target energo facilities of Kiev regime, and these strikes began only this spring when weather conditions are much more milder and absence of electricity will not have immense impact on civilians, or at least as much impact as if the strikes were conducted during the winter time. RT is also reporting that Ukraine can't win on the battlefield, and this was stated by, you might be surprised to hear this, but high-ranking officers of Ukraine's main intelligence directorate of defense ministry. And this information about it was reported by Guardian in its article. And by the way, because this leadership of this terrorist organization, that main intelligence directorate of defense ministry really is, because they know they cannot achieve any success on the battlefield, they are acknowledging openly that they are concentrated now to conduct strikes deep inside the Russian territory, to conduct these terror attacks, to influence somehow situation in Russia. And if you remember, in previous updates, I mentioned that Ukrainian officials are openly talking about their active work to destabilize situation inside Russia, not just by conducting terrorist attacks and supporting terrorist attacks, but also by provoking some turmoil inside their country, trying to provoke some confrontations between different groups, let's say this way. Hopefully Russian security services are doing, and they are, by the way, doing everything possible to make sure that all these attempts of Kiev regime will fail and they would not be able to destabilize situation inside the Russia. Although unfortunately, when it comes to terrorist attacks, time to time, assets of Kiev regime are able to conduct terrorist attacks, and recent attack on Crocus City Hall in suburbs of Moscow is an example, tragic example of that. RIA Novosti is reporting that, according to article in the Wall Street Journal, President of France Emmanuel Macron shared his opinion with the other leaders of NATO member states, including US, and stated that if French troops in Ukraine come under Russian fire, he would not ask, or France would not ask US in this particular case for military aid and assistance. Well, it is interesting to know that at least Macron is realizing that if French troops will end up on the line of contact or in Odessa region, Chernigov, Sumy, Kiev regions, or anywhere else, basically, with possibly exception of Western Ukraine, they will be targeted, as high-ranking Russian officials stated many times during the previous days. And not just targeted, but destruction of NATO forces. Any NATO forces in Ukraine, including French forces, will be priority for Russian armed forces. But, well, let's see how what Macron will say and do after French military personnel will be destroyed in Ukraine yet again, if they will be deployed, first of all, and if they will try to establish control over the southern Ukraine, let's say, Odessa region, or any other region of Ukraine with the exception of western ones. Anyway, let's continue. RIA Novosti is reporting that Brazil, leadership of Brazil, refused to obey calls from Western allies of Kiev terrorist regime, or Zelensky's terrorist regime, to supply weapons and munition to Ukrainian terrorists. Not surprisingly, of course, Brazil made the right decision, leadership of Brazil, and this country will stay out of this proxy war that was waged and is waged against Russia by ruling class of the West. Let's continue. RT is reporting that well, Moscow responds to claims from US that Washington or US Secret Services warned Russia about possible terrorist target. Washington Post reports about the alert is hoax. Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova said. So there was an article in Washington Post according to which US Secret Services even shared detailed information with Russian side that possibly Crocus City Hall would be targeted by terrorists, and this is of course fake news, and Maria Zakharova shared official position of Moscow on this topic. Everyone understands that US Secret Services had information about this attack. It's obvious at this point. Only question is level of involvement of US secret services in this terrorist attack on Crocus City Hall. They were, I have one question: were they involved in planning of terrorist attack, or they just knew information about it because they are in control of ISIS terrorist group and they are in control of Ukraine secret services, and they of course have full information of everything that these terrorists, basically ISIS terrorists, Ukrainian terrorists, are planning. And unfortunately, I guess it was a second, it's a second scenario. US knew about this plot of Kiev regime to conduct terrorist attack, and they did not share information with Russia. I'm 100% convinced in this, and there will be time for payback, undoubtedly. There will be time for payback for everyone. TASS news agency is reporting that, well, head Secretary of Russian Security Council Nikolai Patrushev once again made a statement that a trace of Crocus City Hall terrorist attack is clearly shows link to Ukraine's secret services. We all know about it already, but well, we have official statements of high-ranking Russian officials about this same topic, and well, I guess it's only a matter of days at this point, maybe a week, and probably we will see some factual evidences of direct link of Ukraine's secret services in preparation of this terrorist attack and involvement in this terrorist attack. RIA Novosti is reporting that the Parliament of Georgia, not in US, by the way, not state of Georgia in US, but Georgia in Southern Caucasus region, Republic of Georgia. So Parliament of Republic of Georgia yet again considering to vote for a bill about foreign agents, and this decision of a current ruling party in Georgia, Georgian Dream, already caused some disturbances among US-controlled so-called opposition in Georgia. Today there was some incidents in the Parliament of Georgia, and well, if ruling party there will go ahead with this decision to vote for this bill, I guess Washington, once again, Langley, I mean CIA with their assets in Georgia will once again try to destabilize situation in the Republic. And well, if Georgian security services will not take strong measures to neutralize those assets of the CIA that are basically doing whatever is they can to destabilize country, to conduct regime change, and then use Georgia or sacrifice Georgia and use it as a second front against Russia, then I'm afraid Georgia will end up in a very difficult situation. So Georgia's secret services have to forget about their ties with their possible ties with the U.S. secret services. They should realize that U.S. is an enemy of Georgia and Georgian people. U.S. secret services, by the way, and U.S. political system and elites. I'm not talking about ordinary people, of course, but U.S., United States today are enemy of Georgia. And if Georgian secret services will not act on this factual information and will not neutralize assets of U.S., UK secret services in the country, or Brussels secret services, then well, Georgia will end up in very, very difficult situation, I'm afraid. RT is reporting that Russia's foreign debt fell by nearly 20% in 2023, which is quite interesting news. As Russian economy is not just withstanding all that pressure, by the way, that was imposed on Russia from the collective West, but Russia is even managing to decrease its foreign loan, and of course, in second update, I will share with I will share all the detailed information about it. Let's continue. RT is reporting that Washington is resuming LNG exports to facilitate Ukraine's aid package, according to Reuters. So it seems like there will be some kind of agreement between House Republicans and the White House or Democrats. Washington will allow energy companies to resume LNG exports, and for this, House Republicans will vote for 61 billion aid package. 61 billion US dollar aid package for Kiev regime, from which, by the way, of course, at least 30 to 40 billion will eventually end up on the bank accounts of US military industrial complex, these multinational corporations and corrupt officials in the US. And I remind you, by the way, of course, you all know about it, but US is the most corrupt, probably most corrupt country in the world. Worse than Ukraine, I guess, because after all, corruption in US is legalized. Corruption, US is probably, unique country in this regard, that corruption is legalized, and these congressmen, senators, they are bribed openly, and they call it a lobbyism. Okay, lobbyism. Unbelievable, man. Anyway, let's continue, and I will end this short video on this quite ironic and strange information that Botswana threatens to deport 20,000 elephants to Germany. The African nation's president is outraged by Berlin's move to ban the import of hunting trophies from Botswana. And well, issue is, by the way, for Botswana in this particular case, that huge population of elephants are destroying crops, destroying fields in the country. And they have to deal with this issue. It's like kangaroos in Australia. Nice animals. You look at them and you think, oh, cute. But those kangaroos can destroy crops, man, and some other animals also. So what should humans do then? Starve to death and protect animal rights? Really? I don't think so. And leadership of Botswana agrees with me. And yes, this is it for now. This is it for now. Germany can take some 20,000 elephants if they want to. If they are that worried about rights of elephants, by the way. Botswana is ready to transfer some 20, possibly even 30, 40,000 elephants. Topic probably is open for negotiations. And well, quite relatively a long update for headlines, but hopefully you will find this video somewhat informative, interesting, and useful. And if so, please click that like button and leave some commentary just about anything, any topic. More likes and comments really are helping in my understanding to deal with the algorithms on both platforms, on Rumble and YouTube, to reach wider audience. And for very same reason, if you can, please share links to my videos or my channels with your friends on any of the platforms that you are actively using. And dear friends, if I may, let me ask you to subscribe on my Rumble channel. If you have account on Rumble, link to my Rumble channel is under this video in the description box. My channel is monetized on Rumble, and who knows, maybe if view numbers will increase significantly before end of this year, who knows, maybe Rumble channel will become some significant source of financial support for this small media project of mine. And before I go, let me also notice that these channels, by the way, my channels on Rumble, YouTube, this project is entirely subscriber funded. And if you find my work interesting, useful, and one that deserves to exist on this field of news and political commentary, please consider to support my work with small donations through through PayPal, Boosty, or by subscribing to my Patreon page. And well, this is my Patreon. You can choose level of support, $5 a month, $10 a month, 20 or 50. And on my Patreon page, I have not just news updates, but also I share some photos. For example, yesterday I did share some 52 photos. I have some programs, non-political programs like Streets of Moscow, and quite often I'm making videos just about life in Russia. So I'm definitely trying to make Patreon page as interesting as possible, to generate this additional interest among members of our community. And well, I guess this is it for now. Have a great day, and take care.